Science fiction at its best questions, challenges our belief on what are we, what makes us human, where do we fit in society.
Or shakes us, or tries to shake us up.
Yeah, so monsters are above nature, superhuman or suprahuman.
Yeah.
They allow us to question things that are eminently human.
Right. Now, don't you think that the film, The Thing, follows that same principle of making us fear the other in human form?
Absolutely. And that's a point of the story that I always am fascinated in the Carpenter film.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's about our place in the universe. And that's what makes that story so important.
Somebody in this camp ain't what he appears to be. Right now, that may be one or two of us. By spring, it could be all of us.
So how do we know who's human?
The Thing is an incredibly influential movie in science fiction because it gets at one of our most basic fears, that we might not be able to tell the difference between good and evil, or between ourselves and an evil alien imposter. The film follows the story of a group of scientists in the Antarctic who find a frozen alien.
What is it?
When the alien thaws, it turns out to be an incredibly hostile, shape-shifting organism that wants nothing more than to absorb us and conquer the world. As it absorbs people, it becomes unclear who's real and who has become the monster.
We're gonna draw a little bit of everybody's blood. We're gonna find out who's the thing.
You've got a monster story, and we're going to solve the monster story by doing experiments. That is classic science fiction.
The blood from one of you things won't obey when it's attacked. It'll try and survive. Crawl away from a hot needle, say.
The blood testing scene in The Thing is one of the great scenes I think in all movies. All the protagonists tied up. At least one of them is actually the monster itself. And watching Kurt Russell testing the blood, where the tension is just unbelievable.
This is pure nonsense. Doesn't prove a thing.
We'll do you last.
When that thing screeches up, you know. That was worth the price of admission.
The thing in The Thing, in some ways, it's one of, I think, the apexes of that kind of old school analog monster. Was actually there on the set with the tentacles and the teeth.
I mean, this is pre-CGI. Guys weren't doing this kind of stuff.
But the ultimate threat here in The Thing isn't even the monster itself. It is what The Thing evokes, the paranoia and terror that engulfs that station.
It isn't Phoenix!
The Thing was based on a story, Who Goes There, by the most influential magazine editor, really, in the history of science fiction, a writer named John W. Campbell, Jr.
Did you have any plan in mind as to what you wanted Astounding to be?
I wanted to be a good science fiction magazine, and, oh yes, I wanted to learn how to be an editor.
So he began to establish a group of writers for his magazine that became the pantheon of modern science fiction. Robert Heinlein, for example, Isaac Asimov.
John W. Campbell, Jr. What he wanted were people who would write stories in which the science was realistic. Realistic in the sense that the scientific culture be represented accurately.
He certainly shifted science fiction from boys' adventure stories in space to serious considerations of what the future might be like, and that set up what some writers think of as the Golden Age.
Campbell said that he got the idea for this story, Who Goes There, from a very personal incident that happened to him as a child. One day, he came home, saw his mother in the kitchen, and started talking with her, and became increasingly confused by her odd responses to his questions. It wasn't until his mother actually walked in that he realized he had been talking to her twin sister. This sort of uncanny moment when he thought he saw someone he knew and it turned out to be a different person, stayed with him for all his life.
He ain't tying me up.
Then I'll have to kill you, child.
Then kill me. The Thing is definitely about the monster within, and how those monsters within us that would allow the fear to overtake you to the point where your friend you don't trust. You go down that road, and it can be monstrous.